Welcome to Travel Italia, the show about travel in Italy. Ciao amici, welcome back to Travel Italia. I'm Catherine, your guide to all things Italian. In the last episode, I introduced you to the city of Bergamo, which is a beautiful, lesser-known gem. Today, I want to introduce you to another city that's also off the beaten path. So we're heading to a place that deserves way more love than it gets, and that is the city of Brescia. If you've never heard of it, don't worry, you're about to. So where exactly is Brescia? Well, like Bergamo, Brescia is also in northern Italy. If you were to travel about halfway between Milan and Verona, you would land in Brescia. It's nestled in the Lombardy region, and it's a perfect mix of history, culture, and of course, delicious food, with the added bonus, this is very important, of not being overrun by tourists. In Brescia, there's no need to elbow your way through crowds or stand in long lines. This town is relatively undiscovered. It's not like Rome, Venice, or Florence that cater to tourists. Brescia is a real Italian town where people live and work, and it has a population of about 196,000 people. Let me give you a brief history of Brescia. Brescia is an ancient city which was started as a Celtic settlement before being taken over by the Romans, of course, in 196 BC. They named the town Brixia in Latin, and Brixia became a very important and strategic city. It later became a medieval powerhouse, and during the Renaissance, it flourished as an artistic and cultural hub. Now today, Brescia is a lively city that manages well, I would say, to blend its rich past with modern life, and honestly, it's very charming. Let's talk a little bit about the architecture and the vibe of this beautiful city. I think that if Brescia were a person, it would be that effortlessly cool Italian who sips espresso with one hand while reading Latin poetry with the other. That's the impression I get. The city is a stunning mix of Roman ruins, medieval castles, Renaissance palaces, and elegant neoclassical buildings. You'll find grand piazzas, narrow cobblestone streets, and vibrant cafes filled with locals who actually have time to sit and enjoy their coffee. It's relaxed, yet sophisticated, historical, yet lively. Basically, it's the perfect city for those of you who love both culture, history, and a good aperitivo. Let's talk about what Brescia is known for. What is its claim to fame? Well, I think the number one claim to fame here are the Roman ruins. If you're a history buff, Brescia is your paradise. It is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site because of the Roman ruins and the Lombard heritage that can be found there. And it's also known for Franciacorta wine. So that particular region produces some of Italy's best sparkling wine. It's kind of like champagne, if you want to make a comparison. It's also known for the Mille Miglia. So this is a world-famous vintage car race that starts in Brescia and ends in Brescia. It's been around for a long time, and people all over Italy, all over the world, know about this very famous race. So those are just a few things that Brescia is famous for. Now, what are the top sites that you can't miss if you visit? Number one, I would say the Capitolium and Roman Forum. So this is one of the best preserved Roman sites in northern Italy, featuring a reconstructed temple and remains of an amphitheater that give you a glimpse into Brescia's ancient past. These sites can be viewed as you're walking down the street, but really you want to book a visit through the Santa Giulia Museum, which I'll talk about in a minute. So the Roman ruins are, I would say, at the very top of the list. Then there is the Brescia Castle, Castello di Brescia. It's a 13th century massive medieval fortress sitting atop a hill, offering breathtaking views. It has underground tunnels and a fascinating weapons museum. If you're traveling with little boys, they will absolutely love it. The third thing on the list is the Piazza della Loggia, and this is a 16th century Renaissance square surrounded by 15th century buildings, including the elegant Palazzo della Loggia, which is now the town hall. The fourth thing that you should definitely check out is in the heart of the old town, and these are the city's Duomos. That's right, you heard Duomos with an S, that's plural. Duomo, if you remember, it just means cathedral in Italian. So this town is really unique because they have two side by side. Usually in Roman Catholic construction, they would usually tear down the old Duomo, build something right over it, bigger and grander. But in this case, they have the older Duomo, Duomo Vecchio, right next to the new one. So the older one was built in the 11th century, and the Duomo Nuovo was started in 1604. The interesting thing is the old cathedral, Duomo Vecchio, is a rare example of circular Romanesque architecture, while the new cathedral, Duomo Nuovo, impresses with its grand Baroque facade and massive dome. So they're very different. They're quite a contrast. I believe it's free to visit both of them. Definitely worth your time to check them out. The fifth site I would recommend is the Teatro Grande. This is an opulent 18th century opera house with gilded balconies, plush red velvet seats, and some of the best acoustics in Italy. I also want to give you a list of the most notable museums in Brescia because there's quite a few. The first museum I want to tell you about is called Santa Giulia Museum. And what it is two different locations. They're just down the street from each other. One houses the Roman ruins from a temple, and it's been reconstructed, put together, and it has a very interesting multimedia presentation that allows you to understand what it would have looked like, and it's very high speed, but you do have to book your visit in advance on the website, as it is guided, so you can't just walk in. But the other part of the museum, which is just down the street, is housed in an old Benedictine monastery, and this also has Roman ruins, Lombard artifacts, and things from the Renaissance, all kinds of beautiful, beautiful things. Highly recommended. So it's one price for that museum, which is actually one museum, but two locations. And I would say those two locations in and of themselves is at least half a day. The next museum I'll mention is Museo delle Armi Luigi Marzoli, and this is that museum that's located in the Brescia Castle. So it features one of Europe's most important collection of antique weapons and armor spanning several centuries. So definitely for the boys. The third museum is the Museo Mille Miglia. So this is a museum dedicated to that famous race that I told you about earlier. So this is a must-see for car enthusiasts. It's completely focused on this legendary Mille Miglia race. So it features vintage cars, memorabilia, and interactive exhibits. Now, if you'd like to see some art, then you want to go to the Pinacoteca Todio Martineggo. And this is an elegant art gallery displaying masterpieces from the Renaissance, painters such as Raphael and Lotto, as well as works from the 18th and 19th century. So that is the list of the most notable museums in Brescia. And I gave you the top sites. All of this information I'm going to put in the show notes for you. There's so much to see and do in this little town. All right, so once you're there, what should you eat and drink? You didn't think I would forget, right, about this list. Well, Brescia's cuisine is a mix of rich flavors and hearty dishes. It's very similar to the cuisine of its neighbor that I told you about, Bergamo, which is not that far away. So here, the top pasta dish is also, like in Bergamo, casoncelli. And these are, again, stuffed pasta like a ravioli with a meat, herb, and breadcrumb cheese filling. The second thing on the list is manzo al olio. So this is a slow-cooked beef in an olive oil-based sauce. It's simple but mind-blowingly delicious. The third is polenta taragna. So as is the case in Bergamo, polenta is a popular dish here in northern Italy. It's very popular. And taragna is a type of polenta. So it's a creamy polenta, and it's served with mushrooms, with cheese, with meat. You can get it in so many different ways. It's delicious. And the fourth thing you definitely want to try if you're in Brescia is the Franciacorta wine, because no meal in Brescia is complete without a glass of this sparkling, beautiful wine. So, like I said, it's similar to a champagne, and you just happen to be, Brescia is in the Franciacorta wine area. If you're interested in visiting wineries, there are an abundance of Franciacorta wineries, a short drive from Bergamo, near the lake called Iseo, which is a small lake. Now, the fifth thing you should eat in Brescia are pastries, but not just any pastries. Pastries from a specific pastry shop, and this place is called Pasticceria Veneto. Now, why is this place so special? Well, it is the flagship pastry shop of Eugenio Massari, who's a world-renowned Italian pastry chef and often considered to be the best pastry chef in Italy. He was born in Brescia, and he's elevated Italian pastry making to an art form. And with his meticulous techniques and passion for perfection. So like I said, his flagship pastry shop, Pasticceria Veneto, is located in Brescia and really is a must visit for anyone who has a sweet tooth. The shop has won countless awards, and it has really an exquisite selection of pastries, from delicate eclairs to his famous panettone. So I highly recommend it, and I will put a link in the show notes for you. So now that you have all this information of Brescia, how do you get there? Well, Brescia is incredibly well connected, making it an easy and convenient destination. By train, Brescia is a major stop along Italy's high-speed rail network. You can reach Brescia from Milan in about 45 minutes on the bullet train, on the Frecciarossa or Italo, while it's about 30 minutes away from Verona, and I'm talking about via high-speed train. If you're coming from Venice, expect a journey of about 90 minutes, and the train station is really centrally located, so you can start exploring right away on foot or take a taxi. You can get there by car, obviously. It's off of the A4 highway, which runs through northern Italy from Turin all the way to Venice. So this is the major highway that runs all across northern Italy. It's about an hour's drive from Milan and just 40 minutes from Verona, which makes it a great stop if you're doing a northern Italian road trip. Now, by plane, the closest airports to Brescia are Milan's Bergamo Orio dal Serio, the airport at Bergamo, which is about 50 kilometers away, and Verona's airport. Now, you could also fly into Milan and make that drive because, to be honest, tickets in and out of Milan are much cheaper a lot of times, unless you're coming from within Europe. And if you're coming from within Europe, then the Bergamo airport flies the inter-European discount airline. So there you have it, friends. Brescia is a city that blends history, culture, and amazing food into one unforgettable experience. All right, so now it's time to book that trip. But a trip to Brescia is a doable day trip from Milan or Bergamo, and also a nice stop if you're traveling between Milan and Venice. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your travel buddies. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time. Grazie mille for tuning in, and until next time, buon viaggio. Ciao!